another report also, sorry, welcome everyone, sorry. I was also told that, not just that he said there were also forgery, or there were some documents that are forged. And the question I asked the press, are we going back that route again? He also mentioned as well, as someone said that, where did I do convention? And let me start. All I want us to discuss are facts. Fact number one, after our convention in 2019, Oye rushed off to the FCT High Court, Jabi, where he put up a claim. I was the first respondent, I think, and APGA was the second respondent. It took myself and APGA to court, showing you that he knew I was the national chairman. That was 2019, and that APGA took us to court together. The case went on for about a year plus, and just before the judgment, they decided to withdraw. They withdrew the case. And they saw that we were going to win that case, and they withdrew it from Abaze's court in 2019. That was why we now rushed off to the Federal High Court, impelling INEC to recognize me. You understand? That case went on, went to the Court of Appeal, went back until this in Brooklyn got to where it is today. And fact number two is that Supreme Court have, I don't know the kind of word I will use, and laid the fact complete that everything happened in Owerri. That the convention that they are talking about is a convention in Owerri, and Oye had nothing to do with it. That judgment of the Supreme Court now went for enforcement because INEC refused to recognize us. We now went by a stroke of luck, poetic justice. They went and said I'm cutting it very short, when we wrote a letter, or I wrote a letter to the 5 judges of the panel telling them about an error, the retired judge there, justice there, now replied my letter, and they now said it was forged. It was a Supreme Court registrar that now, when the judges were on holiday, who wrote, and I'm sure you were aware of it, the Supreme Court, media Akande, came out and called the whole press and told them, yes, that I forged those documents. The judges came back from their recess and said no, that those documents were not forged. They ignored it to kill time. They ignored it. They ignored it and went off to a court with the IG of police and said that I forged those documents to Buhari High Court. In Buhari High Court, I was now being tried for forgery. I'm sure you are all aware of it. And that's what I call poetic justice. While I was being tried, Owerri election and Bayelsa elections came up. So 2 members of my NWC went to the FCT court saying, who should bring those candidates? Is it Oye or themselves? And the CJ sent that case to the same court where I was being tried, where I went to prison for 2 days. They sent it to that court, and the court came out with 4 different rulings and judgments. Ruling number 1 was that on the 10th of May, they made that ruling that nothing should be done. Neither myself nor Oye should not do any convention, should not do nothing. So Oye went from behind, used a man called Alex Obiobolu, constituted him to be chairman of the convention committee. And in that convention, Soludo was sitting down in channels. You remember in that channels program, where they now ignored the order of court. Festus Okoye went again to supervise those things, and they now came up with sly. And we approached the court and told the court that they've disobeyed your order. That thing went on until they were committed to prison, that they were not obeying the court order. While that was going on, the main case was going on. And the main case came up, and the judgment came out. And the judgment, one of the paragraph number 5, said that everything they did, whether it's convention, whether it's through their privy, whether it's through their agents, is null and void. Anything they did from 2019, that Oye was not meant to be national chairman of APGA. They rushed with it to the Court of Appeal. And at that same time, INEC was still recognizing Oye. They rushed to the Court of Appeal. The Court of Appeal gave an order or saying that nothing should be done. They stopped my good, that was the judge in Buhari, from continuing with the contempt of them disobeying the order. We went to the court of, and the court of appeal upheld everything that was done in the lower court at that point. It wasn't at that point. INEC looked through everything and saw that they had been making a terrible mistake, and now gave recognition to me. While they were doing that, they rushed off to an FCT court. Not FCT, Federal High Court. This is the one they are talking about now, who was a court called the Motosho. They came up with that after the Supreme Court judgment. How could he be opening up a case when the Supreme Court has decided on it? So INEC now made a reply to that, which is calling a counter affidavit, which they made 2 weeks ago, saying that everything Sly has said is rubbish, and they don't recognize him because his convention never existed. His convention never ever existed. You're looking at me. How could it have existed when there's a court order that stopped it and Court of Appeal have rectified it? So I don't know what all this noise about is that in Anambra State, they were so shocked to see that 80% of APGA, their own side of APGA, have come to join us. That's why they shut down our office yesterday. Everyone has come under our umbrella for APGA to move forward. What is Sly trying to do? He's trying to set up a lie. There's a letter he's talking about, a letter written by the DCR. I'm sure you saw the DCR wrote a letter saying, what did he say? Saying that there was no consequential orders in the Supreme Court. And we wrote back to him and said, any ill-serving purpose they have for writing that letter. Page 13, if you want to read it on and on again, said clearly that the dispute in question is two acting chairmen trying to see who takes over from me, the national chairman, as the national chairman of APGA. And that my removal, my so-called removal, is not justiciable. It's an internal affair of the party. It's clear. Not that they said national chairman, they said Chief Njoku, my removal, Chief Edozie, is not justiciable. Go and read page 13. All these guys have been doing all this while that they have enough money to go to wherever they want and start making noise, and people start panicking and say, what did he say? What did he? He's just talking absolutely rubbish. Complete. Anyone could start from beginning, read the Supreme Court judgment. Luckily for us, the Court of Appeal judgment was done over on Zoom. Everybody saw it live. There's nothing like forgery there. You go and read it again. They also went, the Court of Appeal went further to say that when they rushed off to Awka and got a judgment stop that order that was made on 10th, that it was fraudulent. Can you see a Court of Appeal calling a judgment by a judge fraudulent? Another example. When the governor of Anambra State saw how well, I don't know what his motive is, saw how well the reconciliation was going, he decided to go to the House of Assembly to change the law of local government that we, the party, will not be the ones to sign off on candidates. That is now the House of Assembly. That's not in our constitution. It's the party that provides candidates. Suddenly, we've now done every requirement that is needed by ISEC, and we're moving into that election as well. And that's what bothered the governor yesterday, while he decided to shut down the office. Charles Soludo should concentrate on ruling Anambra State. They should forget about the party. As far as the party is concerned, I am the chief executive of that party. Every name that comes out of APGA must pass through my desk and the National Secretary's desk. It will not pass through Charles Soludo's desk. It will not pass through the House of Assembly desk. It will pass through my desk. We've gone beyond the Convention, Awka Convention, ABBA Convention. What it is now is that there's a legitimate leadership in APGA headed by me.
Out to the governor earlier.
I've had a meeting with him in his house for 3 hours. He spoke for 2 hours, 45 minutes, and I listened to him 2 hours, and I spoke for 15 minutes. And the last word I said to him was that, if I were you, when this crisis got to the point when the Supreme Court said I was national chairman, that what I would have done, I would have called me and told you, listen, I was sponsored by Oye. I would not give you any money. I will not support you, but whatever comes out of it, if you win, I'll support you. If you lose, please, I would like you to support Oye because you have a large chunk of the party as well. But instead of doing that, when I was recognized, you decided to say you don't recognize me. And I will have no other meeting with you until you recognize me. Because on what basis am I talking with him if he does not recognize me? He might as well call you to discuss with you over APGA. He's calling to discuss with me because I am the national chairman of the party.